I killed daughter. Welcome to our second Glue review. Today we're going to be looking at a very amazing game called Elden Ring.
Yes, yes.
This game, I was not expecting for it to just completely take over my life, but it definitely has. And it has compelled us to make a special little review for it.
I
So,
can confirm.
first things first, we're going to talk about how our week went. You know, always got to make sure we're doing good mentally. This week has been pretty awesome. Just been playing Elden Ring. I haven't been doing anything else, if I'm being honest. Just Elden Ring. That's all. I haven't even done any of my homework. So, yeah.
Damn.
How about you, Sully?
Uh, Kinda the same. I have played, however, a bit of this stuff called homework, like you haven't done. And I'm super behind.
Hmm.
And that's about it. I've just been doing those two. I've worked on the traps, of course, with Letty. I remember we had to save you from one. You walked in a noose.
Oh yeah, we'll have to talk about that later.
Okay.
Laddie, how's your week been?
Oh my gosh, it went the same way. I had work to do. All I was thinking about was Elden Ring. I
Mm.
gave a presentation today, and I swore for at least a moment, I pictured what it would be like to have been playing Elden Ring in that moment.
Yeah, that's always good. All right, so we have a special little guest here. He's been being very good, staying quiet. This guy named Matt.
Oh my
So,
gosh, what
hello,
a funny
Matt.
name.
Welcome to the Glue Brothers. Um, you know, so why don't you go tell us something about yourself, Matt? No, don't be shy.
Just staring at us.
Yeah.
Matt, hello.
Sorry about that.
You
The
kind of
freaking
froze up there.
weirdo.
Yeah, I kind of got stage fright, my bad. I
That's
used to be
okay.
called Magic Matt in middle school. That's one interesting thing about me.
Oh, why?
I'm
Were you
sure that was
magical?
completely
Well,
innocent.
the name is kind of self-explanatory. I used to be really, really into magic, you know.
Oh, was it cringy or was it cool?
It was really cringy. It was like horribly cringy.
I can only imagine how much of a loser you were. Nick, where did you find him?
I found him. It was interesting because I was going out buying some glue and I saw this Elden Ring advertisement, which it just said Matt Elden Ring Pro. You know, he's like the Elden Ring master. I was like, you know what? We're making a review. Why don't we take this random dude and put him on Glue Brothers as a special guest? And now here we are.
It's a really good
So
idea.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
so
Absolutely
you're
no
the
flaws in this plan.
yeah you're the Elden Ring master. What compelled you to advertise yourself like that?
Well, I'm probably a mixture of me beating the game in only 2 minutes and, just being an absolute god at the game.
Wow. That yeah, I mean that makes sense. Elden Ring master to be good.
hmm
Now just looking at you, I can tell. Are you good at the gaming style?
What do you mean
You
by that?
like the dance move? Are you really
The
good at that?
dance move?
Yeah, I
Not
could
really,
picture
not
you
in
being
particular.
very good. Just kind of a side thought.
Hmm, interesting. Might have to talk about that later with you.
Yeah, you might have to dance.
Dance? Only if you pay me.
Okay.
Oh
Elden
gosh,
Ring.
is that? I
Elden Ring.
just now understood the magic mat.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh dear. Sully,
All
you have
right.
anything to say?
Any questions for
Sorry,
Mr.
could you
Matt
say
here?
that again?
Yes, on the side. Go ahead, say it. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, are you kisser?
What?
Who?
No way.
Uh,
This is kissing.
sorry, Matt. It's
No
don't
way.
listen to that.
Okay, okay.
Sully's a little paranoid.
You didn't
Um,
give me yes or no answer.
No, I don't know who that is. Is
yeah, he doesn't
that
look
like a
like a
band?
kisser. No, okay, so Kisser, he's our biggest fan. He's been leaving us nice letters. He may have been taking some stuff, but Sully for some reason thinks he's a threat. You don't have to
I
pay attention.
know. This guy's
He
so
breaks
sweet.
into our
So
house
paranoid.
Then
all the time.
and that's fine. You know?
But he leaves gifts for us, you know?
Yeah,
He took something worth quite a lot.
the
He
oven
left
that
us
was
Hey,
broken
hey.
Hey, that thing
down.
was like a
Took our
Only
curse.
went to level
oven.
6. Okay, we need a new one. Anyways, any questions, laddie?
Solely covered security. No, but speaking of security, did you like the traps that were set outside? Like, you had to have noticed them.
I actually didn't. I was blindfolded on the way in here by our very good friend Nick.
Oh, nice, Nick.
What? No,
Yeah,
that was
that was a
Nicholas.
security measure. You know, just in case if he did come back, he would
I mean,
not
it's
go
okay.
to.
We're not on any map. Like, we're not on any map, so
Yeah, we're off the
you wouldn't
rails.
find us again. Yeah.
But just wanted to make sure also he wouldn't activate any stuff. So
Did you say that Nick blindfolded you? Because I did. He like held you and walked you through the forest, but I blindfolded you. I don't know how you
Look,
can get
man,
that mixed up. There's like
I'm
2 feet
I don't.
difference.
I'm also kind of partially blind if you haven't noticed by the glasses. So
Oh, yeah,
kind of like
blind magic man. That makes sense.
oh, I thought those were just your Elden glasses. Anyways,
no.
we gotta go where we left off. You know, we activated a new or Sully activated a new protocol named New Moon. I love the name Sully. I'm just gonna say that.
Thank you.
Very awesome. It's been very effective at keeping all the robbers out of the house. It's super safe for the users, and it's actually really cheap. It was pretty surprising.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Could you describe what it does?
You know, have some snare traps. Laddie definitely knows like all the hidden operations.
Okay,
You
I'm
know.
sorry. I can't save face from Matt. Dude, it's not effective. Operation New Moon. A coyote walked right past like all the traps last night. Almost killed Sully.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Um,
Whoa. Sully, are you okay?
Operation New Moon is not
I'm
working.
getting used to it.
Okay.
I forgot
I
about
cannot emphasize enough how unsafe we are. On Tuesday, we all almost died. And I'm sorry, I didn't tell anyone about this, but my trademarked fire surprise snare, it almost blew up all of us.
that. Wait, when did this happen?
Tuesday.
Oh.
Nick, you were napping.
It didn't just
so
happen
I almost
once on
died
Tuesday. It
in
was
my
like 3
sleep.
times on Tuesday. But you know,
Oh.
sorry, I just couldn't keep it
No.
in. I know you're really proud of it, but like I had to say something.
I didn't even know
It's
there were all
not
these
working.
flaws in the system.
Yeah,
But at
and
least it's
and
cheap.
like the atom shredding trap, that didn't go very well.
The Atom Shredder.
Yeah.
What could have gone wrong with it?
Did
One
you?
of you guys activated or something? What happened?
No, our guest, our special Elden Ring professional guest, almost fell into it. I had to grab him.
Nick, did you almost kill Matt?
Possibly.
Okay, he didn't want the tape connected to each other's leg, which was stupid. I'm sorry, Matt. You should have accepted the tape. Yeah, you
Wait.
almost stepped on the Atom Shredder.
Yeah, you always submit to a kidnapping.
I'm not gonna submit to getting my leg taped to another man's leg. That's just odd. Like I
Ever
said, you're gonna
heard
have to
of
pay me.
Effective.
three-legged race?
Are we?
Gosh.
Did you say tape?
I
Boy,
meant
such a cheap guy.
it was the cloth with glue on it.
Oh yeah,
Is
the
what I
adhesive.
meant. It's
Yeah.
easier. The acronyms are tape, but it's not
Okay,
tape.
I
though.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tape, but completely different.
Yeah. So okay, so they're not really that safe. But they're still cheap. it's
No.
No, not really.
No. Do you
Yeah,
know?
I was
mean,
showing
how do you
solely
think?
the numbers.
oh,
Do you know how much it costs to maintain and kindle the fire noose?
I mean it's just oil,
Yeah,
bro.
we're already running out of gasoline.
The
And
what?
no, we haven't even been using gas. I've been making our tree sap and some freaking iron filings.
Hey, Matt,
What?
on the context of money struggles,
And like,
could we borrow a couple grand?
No, no.
No, guys, I
Um,
wasn't doing anything.
You guys are
let's.
paying me to be here. Why am I gonna give you money?
We were.
Who told him he was getting paid?
what?
You're not getting paid, Matt. That's not happening.
It says that in the advertising, Elden God Master.
Oh, you thought we actually... Nick, there's no way we actually took him
Um,
up on the
I
advertisement.
whited it out so you don't get paid. I used whiteout.
What?
Anyways,
Sorry.
updates on the repairs. No progress. We've just been doing Operation New Moon. We still don't have the door.
Although
Yeah.
although we did put up that one irrigation pipe. It's kind of important for our survival. That was like priority number one. So
Yeah,
that is very loosely held.
So
it
where
should be.
exactly is that?
It's right above us.
It's
Okay.
the seventh plank to the left of the one with the giant hole in the concrete.
Okay, thank you. So is that where we get our water and whatnot?
Yeah.
No, that's where
Okay.
the sandwich almost decapitated a laddie.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I
Too bad
understand.
it's gone. That was good memories.
I
But
kind of miss it,
now
though.
we should probably move on to the review. I'm gonna briefly go over our rating system. I'm not gonna say all of them. We do things here out of sevens. It's like 1 to 7 out of 7. We definitely don't go over 7 ever. So yeah.
No,
So
8,
I have a
9, 10,
question.
and on. It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Why is it
So,
out of 7?
because that's just the superior grading system.
Mhm.
But that doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't out of 10 make more sense?
No.
Could you?
No.
No.
7.
No.
7's a lucky
Seven's
number.
perfect.
Seven
Seven
has-
is the best even number.
You can't
Straight
do,
down
you
the
know what
middle.
they say, you
Perfect.
can't do it without 7.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Elden Ring. This is a very new game. March 2022. It's made from Software. They're very respected. They've always concentrated on making very high quality experiences, and very difficult. I mean, they made their own genre. It's called, this game is a Soulsborne, so it is very difficult on purpose, and it's very reliant on learning enemy moves, to do well in the game. So, you have to especially if you're melee build, um, learning, it's almost like a language almost. You gotta learn how to dodge, parry, and then do, attacks. Very cool.
Whole new life.
Indeed.
Yeah. And Soy?
I mean, it's more. I don't want to say it's more of a new take, but it feels more open world. And that definitely is a thing because, well, vast open spaces can suddenly turn into condensed caves and catacombs with a giant cat that jumps at you, spews fire. And from an entire range of things, the open world experience is standard, but it also has that Soulsborne or Souls-like feeling to it of literally everything can kill you, and
Love that.
it usually only takes 1 or 2 hits to do so.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And you, Letty?
Oh, me? Definitely this game. All Soulsborne games they're vastly different from what the average gamer is familiar to. I'd say they're even arguably very niche games, except for something like the first Dark Souls, something like that. But this version of the game is a lot more accessible, so you're gonna have a lot more players, and that was their goal. And something that new players, including myself, had to just get through our brains was that dying is essential. is that you
Mm.
must be comfortable with dying. And this is the very first game where death has become my friend. It's like I'm gonna go through like 4 minutes of these tunnels just to learn a little bit of information and then die and do it all again. And I gotta understand that like that's part of the game design. Vastly different from other games. I still heavily compare it to the experiences I have with Breath of the Wild, that Zelda game. Very, very similar feeling.
I love that game.
You even in both games you even summon the horse. Like you're even able to summon the horse like right beneath your feet sometimes. Uh, and such similar vibes, but completely different gaming approaches. I
Very
just thought that was
fresh.
worth noting. Yeah, it invokes the same emotions, but I'm definitely playing a different game.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go into our little segments. I'm the graphics guy, Sully's audio design, and Laddie is story world building. I'll go first with graphics. I will be honest, the graphics are a mixed bag for me. On one hand, like some areas look absolutely beautiful. I think one of the underground areas you have like this really beautiful starry sky, and it looks so fantastic. But like when you get like closer look at all the objects, it honestly looks like a PS3 game to put it, or a very early PS4 game. Like for example, one of the cutscenes with Godric, you'll see him petting a dragon. That does not look good at all, if I'm being honest. You know.
Mm.
Um, but if we ignore like close-up detail, this game like just like focus on the style. This game nails the style perfectly. It's kind of like almost again like Breath of the Wild, except Breath of the Wild is limited with the hardware that was on. This game it just seems like the scale was so extreme where they couldn't really make it look, um, as amazing as it could have, like on a smaller scale, of course.
The creator of the game actually made a note about the graphics. They said that he 100% requires that the priorities in the gameplay and that the literal last quality to focus on is graphics.
Which
And
I actually respect.
that's
You
so
know,
respect. Like he's like, I want the game to be as good as it can be before we, but like he's basically calling graphics like a cushion. It's like we could make a beautiful game all we want, but
hmm
that doesn't make it a good game.
yeah,
And I respect that. That's very respectful.
yeah, and like I said, even if close details don't look good, there are lots of areas that are very pretty. Like I think if you like higher up in the map, like there's like this very lush fall looking area with like orange trees, orange grass. That's beautiful. Does it look amazing? No, but stylistically, it's very good looking.
Like a
And
painting.
yeah, it's really good. And one thing I also need to congratulate them on is that they didn't crank up the contrast so high.
Yes.
A lot of modern games like really crank up that contrast a little extra. Like it looks good, but
But it's like too much almost.
it looks real, but also unreal, just with how bright and colorful things are. You
Mm.
know?
Needs more realism, needs a bit more dark.
Yeah, and that's why like it's kind of a mixed bag because one hand it looks really good. Like the area I am right now, it's a farming area, but I mean, just the sky looks amazing with all these stars, and in the distance you see a volcanic rock and like glowing from the magma, and it looks really good. Just of course, if you get closer, you kind of notice like, oh, that's pretty low res, or you kind of see tiling textures, and that doesn't look very good. You know,
Mm.
I don't even volumetric fog is kind of limited. When it is used, it looks great, but sometimes it feels like it needs a little more to kind of illustrate distance. One game I'll compare it to, Horizon Forbidden West is a game that came out pretty recently, and the graphics are amazing. And I think one of the biggest things that help carry its scale is volumetrics. It really just showcases the distance, and I wish this game had a little more volumetric detail. I think that actually would have pushed it even further. Um,
Completely makes sense.
yeah. And one more thing I want to talk about is performance. And this is also a mixed bag for me. On PS5, you would expect a fluent 60 FPS through and through, you know, but this just isn't really the case. It's, for the most part,
Oh,
it's
that's
usually
unfortunate.
60, but there are areas where I notice, like, where it just is definitely not. And, if you want to see, like, full performance lists, obviously, there's other creators that do a way better job, but, like, I think the lowest it dropped is 40, which is, I mean, that's kind of unacceptable for me, if I'm being honest. Um,
Mr.
just,
PS5 over here.
yeah, and
I would
and
like
on
to add you should
PC,
just get I would like to add you should just get a PC because your frames are gonna get better. I don't care how much it costs, just get a PC. It's better. That's all.
We
well,
don't have the money for that.
yeah, we're broke. I would love to, but PS5 is really good, and it should be expected for it to hit 60 FPS, and it's just the optimization. I'm sure they can, with more updates, they can make it more smooth. Um,
Yeah.
it's just disappointing with, you know, how the graphics look like. Again, it doesn't look bad, but you can tell it feels a little behind comparing it to modern games, which is, again, it's fine. At the end of the day, graphics aren't everything. It's just something to
So
point out that the performance doesn't really reflect the visuals that you see.
I'd like to add that I don't think it's early PS4 or Xbox One because early games in those were like Skyrim and Fallout
Mm,
4,
yeah.
and those have
The
horrible
graphics here
meshing
are
textures and
way better.
whatnot. Not to mention the character design and overall just body shape of different characters were really lacking within that time. So
Okay.
I think it's like a mid tier for its graphics. It overall has a broader, more scenic type of graphic
Yeah,
than
the
the
scenic.
up close,
Yeah.
fine meshes that a lot of newer games have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly his point. It's like it looks
yeah.
great on the broad scale, and that was intentional. Is that this game is meant to look beautiful
Yeah.
as is.
It's just easy to scrutinize it when they do cinematic shots and you can really see it's like, oh, that doesn't really look right. You know. I mean,
Well, that's
when
true. It's like when
Godric
they
cuts
are
off his
showing it.
hand, I am sorry, but that looked terrible.
It looks like raw beef jerky.
Which is, I mean, it was just, I don't
I
know.
mean, he's like old,
I mean, it's such a
like
small
so
part,
old to where he
so
would be
it's,
considered beef jerky, but
yeah. But I'll let it pass because it's a small part, it's not, it only is like it's like 20 seconds long. So I'll
And
let
they're
it
very
pass.
aware of it. Yeah.
Just because, graphics aren't everything, but it's just, you have to point this stuff out because that's a major part.
It's a
And,
whole game review. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't want to take up all the review time. I'll hand it over to Solely with audio design.
an audio design of this game is definitely of its genre. I mean, you can't really put it into, this is obviously Souls-born, Souls-like audio design. Obviously, by how my footsteps sound. It's not that, it's the way they use them. The way they
Mm,
use them is very specific for their enemies. Big, big emphasis on enemies. There's so many. The
yeah.
player, the weapons sound wonderful, the magical effects.
Oh, yeah. The
Ooh, and how
magic
every
stuff.
weapon sounds different. Some of my
Yes.
favorite parts. Yeah.
Although some of the daggers sound a bit repetitive, but that's,
Oh, the types of weapons do sound very much the same.
yeah. Some types do sound different.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
Mm,
which is a very good thing for them to add. It's nice for that variation, kind of freshens things up. I mean, as I said before, footsteps will sound like footsteps. Um, Whenever you light a bonfire in previous games, it would give you generally the same type of sound, but over the years, and of careful planning and audio design that they did do, it changes a bit. Instead of a bonfire, it's now a site of grace, which is like a bonfire, except the wood is a bunch of pale tree bark, I want to say, almost draftwood looking. And think of a holy figure, not humanoid, but just an entity floating above it. And that's about it. And they did change it up from more of a fiery sound, like a crackle, to more of a graceful sound, like angelic.
And I want to make sure. I know you were just talking about this. Just make sure you cover this. But like, like audio cues that they use with the boss fights, and
Oh,
also,
yes.
yeah.
Audio cues. This is a game that is very important for that one detail.
Mhm.
Audio cues tell you most things about a fight. If you're not using that lock-on ability, audio cues are probably your best friend. And even if you are, audio cues are good for tracking enemies that are not exactly on your screen that you can't lock onto,
Yeah.
or just hearing what kind of type of move the boss or enemy will make, what kind of damage it's doing, how many times it's hitting you in this one section, or that classic, infuriating sound of you dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
Tony, can you also cover how runes sound in this game? Because
Mm.
I'm addicted to the sound of collecting runes. Like when it's like
Okay.
shing, like little actions, like a crit strike, collecting runes, and
Mm-hmm.
even getting hit. I don't know. This is very satisfying.
It has a lot of impact, and that really translates from the game, what is happening, the almost over-exaggerated actions, not bad over-exaggerated, good over-exaggerated, to where that plays into the audio as well, and they mesh together almost perfectly to create this satisfying, encapsulating sound where the action that you're doing is reflecting both on its auditory counterpart.
And one
Sounds very
thing I want to mention is kind of like a joke. The voices in this game, like your character, are good. I chose a good one, but I know you solely I think you chose the most annoying one you possibly could have.
Oh my
Oh
gosh, this
yes,
is
I
so
chose
mental.
Old Man 2, and every time I get hit, I go, "Ah, ah,"
It's the most unnecessary noise.
every time, and it showed variation, but I swear, every time I get hit, sometimes it's like barely noticeable. I don't make a noise at all, but most of the time, it's just old constipated man sitting on a toilet.
And
My question is, how do you know what that sounds like?
I used to live with my grandparents. Also, those water bears were very
I don't think
ferocious poopers.
I would like to add, I don't think he was pooping like you were saying if he's groaning that loudly.
you never know.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's constipated.
But
He
for
very
30
much
That
minutes,
hurts,
wasn't.
dude. That hurts.
it
But one
does.
thing, so you can actually change your voice when you beat the first boss or the third boss.
I know, but
Don't
at
change it.
this point,
You're just gonna roll
with
with it.
how I've sculpted my character's face meticulously,
Oh, your guy's ugly.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's beautiful.
He sounds like
Yes,
he looks like he fits that voice, I guess.
Looks
He
ugly, sounds
no,
ugly
he
too.
looks like he has the most chiseled jaw, glorious nose,
Yeah, and the
his
whitest mouth
is
ever.
robust, along with his eyes as big as the pale moon.
Mouth looks like bread crust. Just
So,
square.
Sully,
I
I
don't know
might
what
add,
you're
it sounds like you're in love with your character.
I am. He's special to me.
You have to connect to all your Elden Finger characters. They're
Yes.
special. They're you.
Yeah, I
It
feel
is
that.
an extension of oneself.
I genuinely do feel like the Elden Ring character that I've made. Like this is, if I was in Elden Ring world, this is just like that.
I would choose, if I was in Elden Ring world, I would choose to sound exactly like this.
No, nobody would.
Not that
Nobody would.
I need assistance! I need more runes!
He's fallen and he can't get up.
I've taken too much fall damage.
Alright, so be quiet.
That's fine by me. That hurts my voice.
Okay, thank goodness. Um, something that I'm not super qualified to talk about would definitely be the lore of this game, but something that I do think I have experience in is understanding how world building works with games. Because I absolutely adore learning about how a world constructs its story and how it goes about doing so. With Elden Ring, very subtle, you know. There are moments where uh, Melina, I believe her name is, she'll speak directly to you, or you'll speak with the bosses, may give you insight if you can pick up on their context clues. But other than that, the game expects you to pick up on the story by yourself. Like you actually have to want to understand Elden Ring to get what's going on, because you're kind of thrown in, and it's like, you seek the Elden Ring. Whoa, and it's like, well, what is that? Not quite clear unless you actually care about it. And I enjoy that approach to making the game. I'm not gonna talk about what I have learned and spoil it and whatnot, but I'll talk about the general world building, which I adore in this game already. You look around, and this place is like decrepit. Like, if you notice that, like, everything is old, everyone is old, this place is
Yeah.
like falling apart. When you meet young people, it's to complain that old things are falling apart, and it really brings this sense of like you are fresh, and everything else has kind of past their glory days, you know. And I love that so much about this game. I'm going about through it. I'm talking to characters. I spoke to a guy. He gave me a mission, and he was so old that he just died in front of me. He just dusted away. That's how old he was, and that's actually pretty important. Is that, and I don't know if this is insulting to say to anyone, but that the plot is that kind of plot, general arc is very similar to Legend of Zelda, where it's a world that is kind of fallen apart. The games are very different. I'm not saying they're the same, but
Yeah, I
both kind of
see.
fell apart, and you are a hero who is not familiar to this new age, and you're going about it, and it's your job to fix it or maybe get something for yourself, and that's
And
what it feels like.
I just want to
You
like
feel like
shortly
fresh.
point out, I think like the introduction to Elden Ring and Legend of Zelda are like so similar.
Oh
Because
yeah, and
like
you,
you
you
open that
exit from
door.
the underground. It's this beautiful shot, and it's lined up so that your objectives are dotted in front of you, and that's
Mhm.
exactly how it happens in the
And
very
it, but
similar
it's like
games.
less handholdy though, which is crazy. Like you just go, dude, and it's really
I mean,
respectable.
It's more of a
um,
Darwinism
th-
approach for sure.
this game definitely doesn't hold your hand as much. Way more mature than Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
I'd argue it's probably larger. It's a lot more bosses, a lot more leveling up to do, stuff like that.
yeah, and
Oh, but speaking of boss fights and leveling up, we should probably cover the general aspects of the game.
yeah, the main gameplay. I think undoubtedly probably the biggest part of this game is definitely boss fights. You know, that's you. I mean, you have to beat the game by doing boss fights, of course.
Famous for boss
Um,
fights.
and boss fights, depending how you play, um, you fight them differently. So basically, melee, like myself, you definitely have to learn their moves. I mean, of course, I'm not saying magic, you don't have to. But,
You have
you
to
get
learn how to
closer.
dodge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to like think like them almost, Because you'll see patterns like, oh, he does this horizontal slash to the left, and then he'll jump after that. Okay, now you know that. Um, and then you can retaliate. You can recognize strong attacks that leave them kind of open, as well as light attacks where they'll connect everything. You know,
Hmm.
because there's some enemies that just do not stop attacking. They do like
Impossible. They're
5 slashes.
bulldozing. Yeah.
Those are kind of lame, but yeah, you learn. It's like, okay, get out of there, and yeah, it's like a language, you know. You you become the boss, basically. You're
It
like
is
a
so
mirror.
much easier than Spanish.
Yeah.
No, actually, no. This will never be easy, but it's easy to understand. It's just hard to form sentences. Is a way I'd describe it.
And yeah, and since I'm melee, I want to make sure because we have a magic man here. His name is really called Magic Matt.
Yes,
You
yes.
use magic a lot. You want to talk about your experience of how you fight bosses? I'm sure it's probably a little bit different than how I fight bosses.
So early on, magic is definitely extremely powerful, especially if you focus more on your intelligence, if you get that around up to 40 or 50 early on. But as you get to the later stages of games, it gets to the point where it evens out. It's more or less like an overpowered bow
Mm.
than this awesome power. For example, there's a spell called Rocksling that is extremely powerful against like Margit or Renala. Like they're like ex early on bosses. But as you get into the later stages, it just starts to do so much less. It's more effective to actually use melee weapons. Unless you're
Interesting.
using these legendary spells that cost massive amounts of FP. Don't get me wrong, if you have a right build setup, you can get unlimited FP for like 10 seconds and become the most powerful thing in that entire arena.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I've
it's
just
only
heard.
for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I've just heard like from a lot of people that magic is generally stronger than just doing melee. Maybe with the exception of bleed weapons, because those are amazing. You know, so it's good to know because I'm sure you know you fight differently. You
Yes, I have a mixture of spell and melee.
you know, so you get distance, use your
Same
spell,
build
and
I'm
then do
doing.
close up.
Yeah.
All right, and that's one part. Solely, how about you take it away with another aspect, very important aspect, which is leveling up.
It's actually my favorite aspect of the game.
Alright, leveling up in a Soulsborne, you know, takes the currency of that specific game and time. It used to be Souls, or it used to be Demon Bucks, I believe. Something along those lines.
Souls, yeah.
Uh, yes. But, it's runes now, so the currency has changed, yet the ideology, so say, is generally the same. Nothing much has changed. It still has all the stats. All of the stats consisting of vigor, which is more health, mind, which is how much FP you will have, endurance, which increases your stamina and carry weight, strength, which increases your strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, arcane, blah 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 blah. Those are all, and they can attribute to different things. And once you get enough souls or runes or whatever the currency might be, you can go to these save points. Different games are different things, usually bonfires. This one, it's Sites of Grace. You go to a Site of Grace, you press level up, and you put those attribute points into what you want. And certain items need certain requirements to be met. Like a prerequisite for, I don't know, if you're a baby and you have noodle arms, you can't really wield a sword, you might be able to wear, or you might be able to wear a hat, or use a kitchen knife.
Yeah, and then you level up, and now you don't have noodle arms anymore.
Yes, but it's a gradual process.
Yeah,
Also, I want to clarify, just so we don't get sued, infants, if you are watching this, if you can comprehend the words I'm saying, or parents who might give their child a knife, please don't. A hat is okay, not a plastic bag.
they're not high enough level.
You're right, no, they're not a high enough level for a plastic bag. Don't give them to them. They'll just become encumbered and won't be able to move.
Yeah. And before
True.
we move on from leveling, what the hell is a rune?
A rune. Okay, this
Like,
is...
what is that?
It is... In Elden Ring, the general currency is a rune.
But what is that? Magic Matt, do you know? What is a
Yeah,
rune?
what?
What does it
It's
make?
just money to me. Like, what is it? Is it like the
What
equivalent
is
to
it?
these creatures' souls? Like, what
So
is it?
runes are literally just like gold pieces. That is all they are.
Really? They just hold on a bunch of gold pieces?
That's from what my understanding, from what I can tell, because you can find these things like gold runes, lord runes, and when you activate them, they give you a specific amount of runes.
Yeah, like you find them as coins, and like not only in dead things.
Yeah, but like,
Yes.
did they turn into like mystic like smoke though, and then go into your body? So it's like, what?
I don't
It's
know how
just
to really describe it. It's like it's similar to the rings in like say like Sonic, how you can automatically collect them without seeing where they're at.
Oh
I think it's just a
yes, it's
trope
like
with every
Sonic.
other video game. It's they just kind of disappear and are in your
oh, because like
persons at any
they just
time.
look like souls. Obviously, I don't want to talk too much about what runes actually are. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting because I played Demon Souls and I got used to Souls and it's just like, what the hell? What is a rune?
Yeah,
You know?
souls and bonfires.
Yeah. And now
Yeah, that is
Laddie
bonfires.
taking ahead with weapons.
I'm also not very qualified to talk about weapons as of using them, but I do love learning about the weapons. And actually, I grow a huge attachment to whatever weapon I'm using. It is like a friend to me. Very important. And the weapons generally come with a lot of different categories, but most generally they fall under like melee weapons, magic, uh, or a faith-based kind of weapon. My
Yeah.
cousin uses this little thing that throws fire, like that's very specifically faith-based. And then there's summons, which we could count as weapons as well, considering that the game heavily encourages you to use summons because they behave either as like an incredibly strong ally or as
Yeah.
decoys. You
They're
know,
awesome. I love them so much.
I love summons.
They do help a lot
Um,
with fights.
Yeah.
However,
Melee, there's a
sometimes they
lot
don't
of
actually.
variety.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So, sometimes summons almost look useless, but they definitely aren't. They're awesome. And then melee weapons, the most popular of weapons in any game, include it ranges from short swords and balls and chains to sides and claws for hands. Like an incredible amount of melee weapons. Even shields could behave as melee weapons. They have a
Yeah.
thorned shield could have bleed damage on it, or a jellyfish for a shield could cause some poison damage. Very
I would like
lots of variety.
Can I add one thing? I do like that you can dual wield shields, so you can have ultimate
Yeah,
defense
it's
within the game.
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then faith stuff, which as I mentioned earlier, usually a lot of faith items in this game, they focus very heavily on fire. That's a common trait.
Or like healing, I noticed.
Healing and fire.
Yeah.
I'm speaking strictly offensively here though,
Oh yeah.
and because it's a weapon
Yeah.
and very fire based. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's
And
also like some of the one of the also very popular ones would be magic, and there's a variety of stabs and spells to use. And this we've established that like magic is incredibly strong in this game, especially early game. Very strong stuff. And even though the stabs may look underwhelming when compared to like an awesome sword, it's really and I actually really like that is that the staffs can look underwhelming and there's not as many stabs and staff variety as there are like variety in melee weapons. And despite all of that underwhelmingness, it's more about the spells and about how you level your character up that affect and your builds for like your FP costs and stuff like that. I like how Magic forces you to be smarter if you're actually gonna make something out of it.
yeah, I think now should move on. I don't want to take too much time on weapon arts. You
For
know,
real.
weapon arts. They're basically like Ashes of War, and they're really cool. You can apply them onto weapons, do cool tricks. One of my favorite ones, like It's exclusive to this weapon I have. Like you do like a heavy attack that gets you away from the enemy, and then you do like a dash, and then do another heavy attack. It's so cool. Very important to remember to plan the weapons. Some weapons don't allow you because they're already special, like the one I have. And yeah, and you can just combine them and go crazy. And slowly you can go like with the special weapon effects and stuff.
Yes, of course. Do that. Special weapon effects. I mean, there are effects regularly that could be applied to anything, and weapons do give off these effects. The effects are far from a small list, but one of the main ones, and yeah, in my opinion, and in many others, the best would be bleed. Bleed
Mm.
is something
Ooh,
that
lovely.
for some time, and if you get hit enough and your bleed bar fills all the way to the top, you will have, so you start to bleed out, which means you take 10 times the damage, I think it was. But
Mm.
this also applies to enemies, meaning that the effects really play a very heavy role in the game's, well, effects. And all fights could be completely decided on whether somebody gets a prick from poison or step on a fire trap or something.
Yeah.
Different armaments also provide immunities, but I mean, you're never going to fully get away from it. It's just something that you have to get used to and realize, hey, this guy does a little bit of bleed. I should run for my life because he attacks a little fast.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, I think we should move on to our opinions of the game now. We have opinion of the overall gameplay loop. I'll go first. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's on the surface it's simple. Yeah, you slash enemies, you get runes, you level up, you fight bosses. But like, it's just so much variety, and you're always getting something new. It feels like no matter what you're doing, you're always getting something cool. And if it's not cool, it's still interesting to look at. Just the hope of there being something new just keeps me pushing. Cause I want to get some awesome gear. So
Sense.
I'd say
Everybody
they
likes something
nailed
awesome.
gameplay loop. And how about you, Sully? What do you think?
Hmm. I think it was a very well done game. It's just a Soulsborne, but modern and better. I at least think, obviously, they have their own classical feel. More of a nostalgic, but also still incredibly grueling journey through thick mud type of feel.
Quite literally, yeah,
But
some areas.
yes, sometimes it feels like you're not making any progress at all. Other times it's like, oh my gosh, I just got this thing, and it carries you through the next hour of gameplay. And you
Mhm.
realize, hey, I'm not going as fast anymore. What happened? And you just start the process over again.
Yeah. And so would you see
Uh,
yourself like doing New Game Plus for this game? Like its gameplay loop?
Gameplay loop. There is, Soulsborns definitely do have a very good gameplay loop. There's so much to the game, and even Elden Ring, it's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Well, it's the biggest one of the genre, I believe. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing the amount of stuff here. There are references, there's funny jokes, mainly about holes in the ground, and you'll see the word finger everywhere, and occasionally pickle. It's just funny, it's a good time, it's a good community, and
Very healthy.
the
Yeah.
replayability is definitely there. People still play Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2 to this day. They're still going at it. They're still discovering new routes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
How about you,
this
laddie?
game has some promise.
Me?
Yeah. On gameplay loop.
I'd say the gameplay loop is especially good for someone who's good at the game. Like I'm sure this game is like phenomenal for someone who's amazing at it. Someone who's bad at it, I'm sure the rune grinding can be annoying because the player who's like not even bad, just a casual player might have to rune grind a lot. because it's hard to keep up with the demands for a Soulsborne grade. And that's to be expected. As long as you can accept that, like, hey, I'm gonna be doing a lot of the same things, but if I actually spend some time and go, oh, I'm gonna get good at this, you'll progress pretty linearly. There's no need to feel like you're doing the same thing. Kind of like you, where you, Nick, and I'm sure Magic Matt here also has the same experience, where you guys are just, you're able to, you got a hang of the game, and then you're like, okay, I can just go ahead, fight this next boss, get his runes, get his things, fight this next one, finish her off, kill this enemy, and very linear. That kind of, this game treats its good players very well. Surprisingly, because I thought this game would just be like, I actually viewed these games as like difficult for like everyone, but no, I found out that it rewards you highly for being good at it. So I love that.
And then Matt, how about the gameplay for you?
I'd like to. In the beginning, it was fun because you had that learning curve, but after that, it just got repetitive.
I fear
It
that
was
with my
killing.
experience too.
You're just killing boss after boss after boss, and a lot of them seems like have a similar moveset. Like, oh, they're gonna swing something at you. The only variation we get is with the magic users, such as Radon, who had the Star Scourge, or Melania, who has a terrifying combo.
Mm.
But
Yes.
even if you're not good enough at the game, you're going to be stuck on those things for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, sounds like you're nitpicking. Let's go on to our final verdict here. For me, this game is definitely, let's see, out of 7. Definitely, I would give it the Elder Bottle, a very good 9 out of 7. How about you, Sully?
As a tribute to the earlier games, E2's flasks were golden and gilded. I will give it the golden Elmer bottle. Seems fitting. It deserves the rank. It is a very good game. And in my opinion, it deserves it. Not only because of the relation to old while still continuing on a path that is good for newer players and older players, but it just makes sense.
Yeah. How about you, laddie? Final verdict?
7 out of 7. I wouldn't say that this game. I wouldn't say it's ground. I wouldn't say like, oh, it's broken the mold. I would say that it's just a perfect game because it's doing exactly what they wanted it to do.
Yeah.
This game, it is so rare to find a game where I just know that it respects itself so much. Like, I just know that there are a lot of other games where they cut corners, or they have shareholders who demand that, like, oh, look, I need this out, or like, you need to cut this so that it can be out faster. And I love that I don't feel that in this game. I think that everything they did was intentional. They did like go, you know what? Let's pull back on graphics and let's focus on the gameplay, and it serves so well. But it's a 7.
Yeah.
It's a very solid 7. I love it. It's as good as Gorilla Glue.
Yeah. And now Matt, the Elden Ring master, who I'm sure will give it a very high score. What is your final verdict for the game?
I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 7.
What?
What?
Wait,
Huh?
I thought you were the Elden Ring master.
You left me
What?
50 messages
okay.
on the text
Why would you play
tone
so much if you
bragging
hate
about
it?
it.
What?
What?
Are you stupid?
You're gonna have to. You owe me money for the phone data.
Oh
my
God.
gosh, there's so
Matt,
many
Came
messages.
to our house,
Please.
talked about Elden Ring for an hour, and now you say it's bad?
Non-stop.
I would like
Okay.
to.
Matt, get out of
You see
here.
that red
Can
ring?
you go? No,
You
go.
Fine,
Bye.
step on the
fine.
The
fine.
door's
Get
right
out.
there.
Get
The
out.
door's right there.
Get out.
Wait. Watch out. Watch out.